Hey guys, Moniz here, and I just want to apologize before this video begins for my voice. I'm getting over a cold, so I sound like a 90-year-old who's been smoking 10 packs of cigarettes a day for her entire life. But I do want to bring you this video review on the Huawei MateBook X Pro. I think this is a very well built and beautiful Windows laptop that offers a great alternative compared to the MacBook Pro. First and foremost, it's very light at 3 pounds. And to give you guys some context, I have the Lenovo X1 Carbon right here. Now, even though the Carbon is 2.5 pounds, if you compare the size of both laptops, the MateBook X Pro is not as wide and the depth is also smaller. The port selection could be better though. On the MateBook X Pro, you only have 2 USB Type-C ports. One of them happens to be Thunderbolt 3. So if you want to hook up an eGPU, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you want to hook up a couple of monitors that are 4K running them at 30 Hertz, you can do that with this laptop. On the other side, you have a USB port. It's USB 3.0. Unfortunately, there's no micro SD card slot or SD card slot. So some designers or creatives might be turned off by that. Now it also passed the one-hand test. And the one-hand test is the ability to open up your laptop without using 2 hands. And this one does that absolutely perfectly. Now on the bottom you have these 4 rubber feet to keep it nice and secure on your desk, and you have 2 vents to let the heat out of, which I'll talk about later. But getting inside is super easy. You just remove the screws and you're in. But not a lot of stuff is upgradable. The RAM is soldered onto the motherboard, the CPU and GPU you can't upgrade at all, and the only thing that you kind of have access to is the SSD. And getting to that SSD requires a lot of work. There is a big metal plate going across the entire laptop, making it difficult to get to. Now one of my favorite features of this laptop is definitely the display. I mean, look at these bezels, 91% screen to body ratio, very similar to the Dell XPS 13, but slightly a little bit bigger. Color accuracy is fantastic, so if you're a creative professional who's gonna be using this to do light Photoshop, you're gonna appreciate this display. Now, the one area that completely blew me away was its brightness. When I recommend a laptop, I say anything over 300 nits of brightness is good, but this laptop got up to 535 nits of brightness. That's ridiculously bright for a laptop. In fact, I haven't tested any laptop in 2017 or even 2018 besides the MacBook get this bright. Now also, if you favor productivity over gaming, you're gonna like the resolution of this screen. 3000 by 2000, it's IPS and it's also touch. So very similar to the Surface Book and Surface Book Pro. Now when it comes to the 1 megapixel potato webcam, it's actually in the keyboard. From a privacy perspective, it's a fantastic idea. It's always implemented inside. You only pop it open when you actually need to use it. But the issue is when you're actually having a conversation, people are gonna be staring up your nose. Plus, I mean, 1 megapixels, that's not the best quality for having a discussion. The speaker quality on this laptop is really great as well. Unlike other laptops that use 2 speakers, this one has 4 that are facing directly towards you. So that means you're gonna get sound directly in your face instead of coming out of the bottom and then going upwards. The result is a lot louder than most Ultrabooks. I did find the highs to be very crisp, but a little bit tinny. And if you're looking for a lot of bass, you're not gonna find that here either, but it does better than most Ultrabooks at this size. The keyboard looks a lot like the MacBook Pros, and to be honest, it actually feels better than the more recent MacBook Pros. I take this keyboard, which feels a lot more like the older MacBooks from a few years ago, rather than the new ones right now that have a very low travel distance. They're comfortable to type on, there's a nice click to it, and the actuation force is great. The touchpad, on the other hand, even though it's a big size and it's using Windows Precision drivers, it's a good touchpad. It's just not as good as, let's say, the Dell XPS 13. So here's the thing, if you're gonna buy this laptop, it comes in 2 configurations. The i7-8550U, 16 gigabytes of RAM and an MX150 dedicated graphics card. Or you can buy the cheaper i5-8250U without a dedicated GPU. Now both of them can obviously handle day-to-day tasks fine. So editing, very light video, Photoshop, maybe browsing the web, doing some administrative work in Microsoft Office. It's just if you want to game on it. If you are planning on gaming on it, get the one with the MX150. The MX150 is very comparable to the NVIDIA GT 1030. So that means you can play games like Overwatch, Fortnite, Dota 2, League of Legends on medium to low settings with pretty good frame rates. Now, if you're looking for a gaming laptop, this is obviously not for you, but it can handle some very light gaming. So when it comes to heat management, everything was pretty good. Surface temperatures tended to get to around 48 degrees Celsius. Usually I like it around 45 or lower, but the most important thing was the CPU temps. Those temperatures never exceeded 75 degrees Celsius and there was 0 thermal throttling. This is like after 30 minutes to an hour of stress testing. Sound is good, so when it's under idle, you get your typical 35 to 38 decibels, but when it does kick in, the fan does get quite loud, but not loud enough to be an annoyance. Battery life is a little bit lower compared compared to the competition. I was hoping for about 12 hours of use before needing to charge. I was getting about 8 to 9 hours of use before needing to charge, which is still pretty good. It's just not as good as other comparable Ultrabooks. Now, of course, you can charge this through USB Type-C, which it comes in the box, which is also very convenient. So here are my closing thoughts. The MateBook X Pro is definitely Huawei's best laptop yet. It has a lot of great things going for it, like a beautiful, gorgeous display. It has a good keyboard that feels comfortable to type on, and I love the sound quality. 4 speakers is always better than 2 that are underneath the laptop. But it's not perfect. The touchpad, even though it's good, could be a little bit better. I do wish it was a lot more easier to upgrade. Getting to that NVMe SSD is kind of tough, and it requires you to remove a lot of stuff. Also, the partitioning on the hard drive is ridiculous. When you first get it, you only have 80 gigabytes on the C drive, and the rest goes to the D drive. So if you do buy this, format it and partition it properly. And the last thing is the webcam. I like the idea of it being private and being able to shut it down when you don't need it, but I don't like the placement. It just doesn't do a good job for streaming or video conferencing. Overall, this is a great laptop, and I think it's a great alternative to something like the Dell XPS 13. Now, is it a MacBook Pro killer? Definitely not. I mean, this doesn't run Mac OS, but it's definitely a great Windows alternative. That wraps up my review of the MateBook X Pro. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like it? If you do, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.